Thank you very much. Thank you. It is a great honor to be with you all tonight to celebrate independent media, what all media should be, the exception to the rulers. It is our job to go to where the silence is, to bring you their voices, and when they can't speak, to tell their stories until they can. That's the philosophy of Pacifica Radio, where I come from. Pacifica Radio, founded 55 years ago by a World War II conscientious objector named Lou Hill. After he got out of the detention camps after World War II, he said there has to be a media outlet that's not run by corporations that profit from war, but run by journalists and artists. And that's how Pacifica Radio was born. April 15th, 1949, at 3 p.m., he went on the air and welcomed people to the airwaves. It really is a profound philosophy. Pacifica pioneered the idea of listener support, the idea that we won't turn to corporations, but we turn to people like you, which is why it's so important tonight to support Valley Free Radio. In this day and age of the greatest media consolidation in this country's history, to see a wave going in the other direction, cutting the other way, small grassroots radio stations growing up in this country is so important. And I think it is a testament to the hunger for independent voices, for the voices of non-officialdom. In a day and age when people across the political spectrum are fed up with a media that has fed us lies, independent media has, on the one hand, while we have the largest media consolidation in history, independent media is blossoming. We're also broadcasting on public access TV, which is a medium that people have fought for like radio. With the corporate monopolies coming into town, whether it's AOL Time Warner or Adelphi or Comcast, they get to rip up the road so only one company gets the cable franchise. And in exchange, media activists have wrested a few channels from them that are your channels, where you get to make your own media. And it's so important we use these before we lose them. And we're broadcasting on more than 100 of them around the country. We are now broadcasting on PBS as well, our first PBS station on a Native American reservation in Montana, and we are now working with a second PBS station that will broadcast Democracy Now! Throughout Northern California. It is truly the largest public media collaboration in North America on community radio stations across Canada, across Australia, and throughout Europe. At our website, democracynow.org, well, in the last month, more than 3 million hits in 1 week as people access independent information around the world. It is so important that people in other parts of the world see us in the United States through something other than a corporate lens, or hear us in something other than a corporate microphone. Pacifica Radio is a sanctuary for dissent, as all media should be in this country. In the 1950s, when Paul Robeson, the great activist, singer, actor, scholar, was whitelisted from almost every public space in this country, but a few black churches, he knew he could be heard on KPFA Pacifica Radio. James Baldwin, the great civil rights activist and writer debating Malcolm X on the effectiveness of nonviolent civil disobedience, the lunch counter sit-ins, broadcast over the airwaves of WBAI. KPFT, our station in Houston, Texas, went on the air in 1970 in the first year of operation. It is the only radio station in the country to have been blown up twice by the Ku Klux Klan. And when the Exalted Cyclops, or was it the Grand Dragon, I confuse their titles sometimes, went on trial, he said it was his proudest act because he understood how dangerous Pacifica Radio is. Dangerous because it allows people to speak for themselves. When you hear someone speaking from their own experience, it breaks down the bigotry and the hatred, the caricatures and the stereotypes that fuel groups like the KKK. A sanctuary for dissent. Dissent is what makes this country healthy. We all have to stand up now because there are seriously targeted populations in this country under the USA Patriot Act and more. Arab Americans, Arabs, Muslims, people of South Asian descent. And when we all stand up, it makes it more difficult for any single person to be targeted. I didn't say we all have to agree, but stand up for people's right to be heard, to be protected. After Pacifica Radio was founded, and the 5 stations making up the family of Pacifica founded, we moved to the Persian Gulf War and we look at the coverage of that war. At the time, Westinghouse owned CBS, General Electric owned NBC, 2 of the major nuclear weapons manufacturers in the world, owning 2 of the major networks. They made most of the parts for most of the weapons in the Persian Gulf War. Is it any accident what we watched was a military hardware show? You had the Wall Street Journal quoting CBS executives saying that the pieces leading into the commercials, the war coverage into the commercials, had to be more upbeat, you know, because blood and toothpaste don't mix. No, as George Gerbner said, the professor emeritus from the University of Pennsylvania Annenberg School, founder of the Cultural Environment Movement, we need media that is brought to us by something other than corporations that have nothing to tell and everything to sell that are raising our children today. A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to travel 2/3 of the way around the world in a very small plane. I was covering a small delegation led by U.S. Congressmember Maxine Waters and Trans-Africa founder Randall Robinson, and a member of the Jamaican Parliament, Sharon Hay Webster, carrying a message from the Jamaican Prime Minister, P.J. Patterson. They decided to take U.S. foreign policy into their own hands. This is how it all went in February, and those of you who listen to or watch Democracy Now! Know this story, and we thank you for your support, for making it possible for people all over the world to hear another version of history. In the middle of February,